making first cut. Golly.
Hello, YouTube. It's the CJ Cup, and we've got to go through our storylines, our best bets, and so much more. Hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. We'll get started right now. Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and it is time to mega preview. Not a little preview, a mega preview. Patrick McDonald not only here, Patrick McDonald is there. Boots on the ground this week. Hello, sir.
What's going on, fellas? Yep, boots on the ground, but I am feeling a little naked. I don't have the green screen behind me today, so people are getting a little peek into my life and this window.
It's one window, one floor lamp, and two unhung pictures.
You got a good eye. You got a good eye there, Rick.
Yeah, we need to work on this. Rick and I need to get out there and do some work.
Yeah,
I just moved. I need help. I need help.
Tough scene. How is Congaree, Patrick?
It's pretty ridiculous. It's absolutely in the middle of nowhere. I think a lot of people are either staying in Savannah or Hilton Head, some Charleston as well. So it's all like an hour-ish to get there. Just an unbelievable golf course put in the middle of nowhere. It used to be a rice plantation, I guess. I had a pretty crazy driver to the media center today. He was telling me all about it. But the course itself is unbelievable. I have nothing but like the highest of praise for it. Some of the bunkers are crazy dramatic, and it's really cold this week in the Charleston area. I think on Thursday it might be around 40 degrees when these guys tee off, so you're gonna have to hit it far. I think driving distance is mega key this week at Congaree.
Kyle Porter is here. Hello, Kyle. Give us a hello so that people know your voice.
Yep. Hey, how's it going?
Okay.
Hey, I don't have the static sound, so I think we're good.
We are so far so good. Kyle, you know the one thing that I hate about golf? This is the thing I hate the most, especially about televised golf. The cameras flatten a lot of these golf courses. Patrick talking about dramatic bunkers. We've seen that at Augusta National cameras tend to make the course look a lot more flat than it actually is. And I don't think that we get a full representation of what's actually going on out there.
I agree. I mean, I was going back through. So right now, this is the time of the year where I go back through all the old, just everything that happened this year. And Rick, I came upon this tweet that showed what's the par 5 at Torrey 13.
I was literally just describing to Patrick that I don't know the numbers there because they flipped the nines. So now I'm so confused on what the actual numbers are. So the par 3 at Torrey, describe it to me because that's the only way I can get it now.
I think it's either 12 or 13. It's the one that goes way down and then goes all the way back up.
10, 11's the par 3, 12 comes, 13 where, right, there's a bowl down at the bottom and then you got to hit up very.
Yes. So there was a camera angle during the Farmers this year that showed, I can't remember who it was, maybe Rahm or somebody had like a downhill lie on that par 5. And even that, I don't know if it did it justice, but I think there are ways to show some of that stuff. We saw this at Kiowa. Some of the green surrounds there at Kiowa were absurd, like nothing you want any part of as a non-professional golfer. So all that to say, like, I completely agree with the take. I think it's one of the, like, if all you've ever done is watch golf on TV, you haven't been to a tournament, it's one of the things that people always say that about Augusta National, but it's one of the things that I think will shock you the most about a lot of different places that you go to watch professional golf.
I've been at the bottom of that hill on 13. So it's like 130
on your first
yards.
Shot?
That would be nice. Probably my fifth, but it's like 130 yards, but it plays uphill. So you play it like it's 170, but I don't have a club I can hit high enough nor far enough to make it happen.
Yeah, that's rough. You don't. What do? Do you putt it?
Putt it up the hill. You got to putt it up the hill.
Yeah, I think I just blew it like, I don't know. I just like banged it into the hill, like dead on and hoped it stayed up there.
You got to hit it sideways back to like 11 so that you can have an angle in.
Super off topic. Remember during the U.S. Open there when that guy just came out of the crowd and started playing on that hole?
That was the hole. Yeah.
I was on that hole when that happened, and it was like the whole thing was, all I remember is Rich Beam Instagramming it. I don't know why I remember that part of it.
Rich Beam broke the news. Yeah.
Was he the one that broke it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Or was the
maybe
first
that's
one to
why-
upload it. Yeah.
The dude had an unbelievable move at the ball too. I mean, it was like better than I'd rather watch that than Harold Varner's move at the ball. No offense to Harold, but
Believe it or not, there are so many great. This is a great intertwining here because that 13th hole is where I saw the full-on John Rahm stare that scares me to death, and that is what Patrick got this morning when he asked about John Rahm's putting stroke. You actually upset John this morning, didn't you?
ooh,
Yeah, it wasn't great. And I buttered him up a little bit too. I was like, John, you're putting the ball beautifully. The last 4 tournaments, you're gaining an average of 1.6 on the greens per round. Unbelievable putting. And I go, this confidence level you have, how is it different from your valley of last spring? And he just looks at me, he goes, I'm confident. And then across the media center, a couple questions later, someone goes, John, why do you hate getting questions about putting?
Wow.
What did he-
That's next
what did-
level.
what did he
He
say?
literally- remember his answer at match play last year
Yeah,
about
yeah.
strokes gained and how because he hits so many greens, his putting will never be good, which really
That's
doesn't
not how
make
it
any
works.
sense at all.
Yeah.
He said the exact same thing. Pretty much. He's like,
Does
well,
John
my
Rahm
ball
not understand how strokes gained works?
he's like, my ball
Well-
striking is so good that my putting statistically it cannot be good.
That's not true.
I sort of understand where he's coming from in that, like, I think his I don't know the math on this works out, but I think if you're like 25 feet every time and you make one, it looks like you're I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it in a way that makes sense. But
Yeah, you're right. And
I
if you're
sort of
just if you're just if you hit everything to 8 feet and you're just average, you're an average putter. But if you are hitting everything to 25 feet and you're making a little bit more than you should, it is probably showing that you're a much better putter than you actually are.
But it
Yeah.
doesn't just like it doesn't flat out. It doesn't mean that you can't be a good putter if you hit it close. Like
Obviously, it just means you go really low.
yeah, it doesn't like one does not. They're not mutually exclusive, right? And that's why strokes gained exists. I mean, it would be one thing if he said like putts per. I don't know, gave a different putting statistic, but that like what he's saying is the reason strokes gained exists.
Yeah. He said if he was a top 20 putter, he's going to win 8 times this year. But he said it's very hard to do.
If he's a
obviously.
top 20 putter, I guarantee he doesn't win 8 times this year.
Yeah, I think
Rick,
Rory
you want
was
my
a-
credential? You want to question him tomorrow?
I think Rory was a top 20, 30 putter, and he won twice.
3.
No, not
John
three.
Rahm did waste.
3.
Yeah.
John
He
Rahm
won
wasted
Canada.
Yeah.
He's defending this weekend Tour Championship.
Oh,
CJ Cup.
okay. I was thinking calendar year, not season. My
Okay.
bad.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Rick, about Rahm wasting.
He wasted one of the best driving years ever last year. He became the 13th golfer in the ShotLink era to gain a stroke or more off the tee. And everybody else was like averaged 2.9 wins, averaged like 3rd on the FedEx or the money list. And he was like 15th in the FedEx Cup standings. His one win was Mexico. It was like by far the worst of the best driving seasons ever.
Rahm had a stretch. I'll get this wrong, but I think it was PGA in 2021 through American Express this year. I think it was 10 events. He lost to 35 guys total, and he only won, I think, once, which was the U.S. I mean, it was a good one to win. It was the U.S. Open, but he almost like what he did is almost impossible to do, which is only lose to 35 guys over 10 events and only win one of those. Statistically, that's just very very difficult to do, and he did it. So, are you guys bullish or are you guys buying or selling Rahm season?
Big buy.
I'm buying. They had the golf today on, and they were buy or selling if he'll get back to world number 1 this year. That was their question.
What's
I don't
he
care
at
about
now?
that as much.
I don't either. Is he like
he's-
the world golf rankings don't mean anything anymore?
know.
So
Yeah, just abolish them
He's fifth.
altogether.
the official woke golf rankings.
He's 5th.
Yeah, he is 5th.
Okay.
So he's got
I don't.
Scotty, Rory, Cantlay, and Who's 3?
Oh my, yeah. Who is 3, Patrick? You
Cam.
forgot about Cam Smith because he's on Live now because you're a PGA Tour lifer.
Congaree would be a great course for Cam Smith, by the way.
There are a few other names for that, Rick. I am buying John Rahm as well. I think that he gets a little. I don't know. It was a weird year for him. You know, he won Mexico. He won the Spanish Open, and I just feel like he gets weirdly overlooked for being the caliber of player that he is. I also said he was going to win 5 times this year back in January, and he won. Well, as of now, he's only won twice. So I guess technically he could still win 5. But I'm buying. All that to say, I'm buying as well.
Yeah.
So am I.
I will say, so I wrote about him today. The last time he was out of the top 5 was following the end of 18-19 season. And he went runner-up at BMW PGA and won the Spanish Open, which he just did again. And then he rattled up. That was kind of his ascent to world number 1 in that COVID year, which is kind of crazy to think about that he's just repeated that, kind of the runner-up and the win.
That is pretty cool.
Do you think, Rick, Rory or Rahm has a better season? So like 22, 23 PGA Tour season.
Oh boy. It's probably still Rory.
I guess I'll say this. Do you think Rory or Rahm wins more golf tournaments in 22, 23?
Probably still Rory. Because Rory's like for as much as Rory can fly under the radar and not be appreciated, he's flying under the radar and not being appreciated. Like, he's that good. The guy is, you're talking about only a handful of guys that beat Rory on a regular basis, or beat Rahm during that stretch. That happens to Rory Mcilroy on a regular basis. He is just as good of a driver. He is now a much improved putter. He fixed the wedge thing in the second half of last year. It is like, it's scary what Rory could do.
Yeah, I think sometimes people are like, why do you always do the Rory thing? And it's like, because you don't understand how good it is. Like, he gets a little bit. I remember back when Fowler, this is a little bit irrelevant because Fowler's playing well again, but when Fowler was good, he was like 6th in the world, or, you know, whatever. He was having like the best years of his career, and people sort of like lumped Rory and Ricky in together. I'm like, you're not understanding like what this is, right? And I feel like people have done that. That's not picking on Ricky. It's just people have done that with Rory and other guys throughout his career. Rory and Spieth, and there was a time when Spieth was like in that class, but it wasn't as long of a window as Rory has been in that class. So I think that people just a little bit don't completely understand statistically or longevity wise how difficult it is to do what he's done for 15 years.
Rory could win 19 times, but if he doesn't win a major, everyone's like, nah, bad year. Tough
well,
year
I mean, he would probably say that. Since January 1, 2016, can you give me the top 5 ball strikers in the world?
January 1, 2016.
Was I even born that year?
Oh my gosh.
Rory McIlroy.
1.
DJ.
2.
John Rahm.
3.
2016.
Pretty good, guys.
Yeah, well, maybe this might come to an end here. Now, so I think the secret here is that don't think more recent. So I'm thinking Morikawa and Hovland are
Justin Thomas.
4 and 5. Morikawa, Hovland. You nailed it, Rick.
Oh, yeah. Really?
Yeah.
All that to say, the only 2 guys on the PGA Tour left that are above, or I guess the only 4 guys that are above 1.5 ball striking in that period, which 1.5, if you're not aware, is a joke. It's stupid. It's unbelievable. It's Rory, Rahm, Morikawa, and Hadwin. JT's just below that. Zalatoris just below that. Cantlay just below that. But that's your cream of the crop right there.
Yeah, and Zalatoris and JT are probably almost exclusively via the approach category, right? Because they don't drive it as well as those other guys do.
Zalatoris and JT are both about what Rahm is off the tee overall. Not obviously the last year was different, but for that 5-year period, 6-year period.
There you go. Some flushers. We got some news this week.
Sorry. They're what Morikawa is, not what Rahm is. I was
okay. I was like, that's pretty aggressive, but hey, you're looking at it. So.
Is off the team, not John Rahm. My bad.
All good. All right, we got some news today. However, before we hit that, reminder that First Cut merch. Yep. 20% off the rest of the year. There's a link in the description if you are watching on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, just subscribe. Just do that for me. If you're listening, there is a link in there as well. If you're watching, there's a QR code that Troy is showing on the screen, and the code that you need, First Cut 20. We tried First Cut 30, 40, and 50. Doesn't seem to work. First Cut 20 will get you 20% off. I was trying to steal a couple extra percentages for everybody, but that'll get you your hats, shirts, sweaters, sweater weather. Maybe there's a beanie. I thought I saw a beanie in there last time. We'll have to see. Go check it out. News. The PGA Tour, according to Eamon Lynch, set to announce the 4 additional elevated events. Patrick, this is something we knew was coming, right? That they were going to add more elevated events, but we did not know which ones. We got indication of that today.
That's correct. So it is the Phoenix, which is, same day as Super Bowl. That one will be a lot of fun. Heritage right after the Masters, Travelers, which is right after the US Open, and then Wells Fargo. What do we want to touch on? I think there's some winners, some losers.
Real quick, I think I was surprised at Phoenix. No surprise. Travelers, not really a surprise. It's been a good tournament for a long time. Wells Fargo makes sense. Quail Hollow, the tour loves that place. I was surprised by Hilton Head over Torrey, maybe.
I think it's a timing issue. I think it's later in the schedule. We have a lot of stuff to get done before Torrey. We've got to get everybody's schedule on the same page, et cetera, et cetera.
And Torrey was the Saturday finish with NFL Conference Championship that week as well, and that's a couple weeks before the Super Bowl. Maybe they wanted to spread them out a little bit.
Yeah, that could be right, because you've got Riviera and Phoenix in February. There's only one in January, which I thought was interesting. January, I actually think of as kind of a heavier PGA Tour month, but I guess part of the surprise for me is the week after the Masters. That just doesn't match the rhythm in my head of kind of the way all of this is going to work. But to that point, it's going to change.
Correct. So producer Troy, there's a comment from David that says, such a shame not to rotate the events. That would have been fun. Well, hold on, David, hold your horses, because we're under the impression that these are not going to be the same events for 2024. Now, Kyle, I'll throw this back to you, because we've talked a lot about this. I think in our ideal world, or at least in my ideal world, these 4 are constantly rotating. John Deere is going to get a crack at it at some point to get the top players there, and 3M is going to get it at some point. I don't know if we're going to get a full-on rotation, but at least these are likely to be different for 2024.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything groundbreaking here, but I think it's better. Listen, like, the tour has gotten itself into trouble here because it has too many events. In terms of if you want to have those events, fine. But in terms of a good product, Live has exploited the fact that you don't need to have 47 events, right? And so what the tour has functionally done is created 2 different tours. They've created the elevated events and the non-elevated events. There's 13 elevated events, and there's 30 or 31 or whatever non-elevated events. And it's smart to consolidate your star power into those tournaments. But if you're the John Deere, the Byron Nelson, the American Express, you're like, wait a second, this is not what I signed up for. But I honestly think, Rick, it's better. Like, I live in DFW. It's better for the Byron Nelson, I think, rather than just getting Spieth and Scheffler every year into perpetuity. They get everybody once every 3 years, 5 years, 4 years. I think that's better. And you might still get Spieth and Scheffler if the tour holds its players to this. You also have to play 3 non-elevated events quota. Like that's an easy one for Spieth and Scheffler to commit to. So you a little bit, the players are kind of bearing the brunt. They're getting paid a ton, but they're quote unquote bearing the brunt of like, hey, we're going to play a little bit more, and that's going to really benefit a lot of these tournaments if they spread them around like it seems like they're going to.
I was worried originally, Patrick, that these new elevated events were just going to be whoever they called up and said, hey, you want to give us more money so that we call the Wells Fargo Championship an elevated event and you get guaranteed to get X, Y, and Z. I actually think here's a better plan. You sell the series, right? It's the Whoop series of events or the whatever series of events.
Rolex.
Yep, exactly. And they rotate courses, and each year it's like, oh, what events are going to be on the Rolex series or whatever it ends up being? You get your extra cash and you get to go to different tournaments. Patrick, I'm a genius.
Rick, I think there's an opening at HQ for you. On Avidra is calling. Back to Kyle's point about the DFW boys. Spieth was in the press center today, and he straight up said, I guess I'm doing 5 weeks, if that's true. He was like, I know Zalatoris and Scheffler would probably be in the same boat, but it might just be showing up to Jack's place there Wednesday morning, Tuesday night, and rolling there for a 5th week in a row. So the Dallas I didn't know Tom Kim lived in Dallas either, which came to light today as well. Him and Spieth share like every physio and coach now and every which way. But I thought at first glance that Texas would be a loser just because why would you go there with the other tournaments around that time?
So here's what the schedule would look like for a top player now. And Kyle, you kind of alluded to this. So January is just the Century Tournament of Champions. February is Phoenix and Genesis. March is Bay Hill Players Championship match play. April is the Masters and the RBC Heritage. May would be Wells Fargo and the PGA Championship. June is Memorial, US Open, the Travelers. July is the Open Championship. And then August is your playoff event, St. Jude, BMW, and Tour Championship. That's what your top player's schedule is likely to look like.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if they rotate in any of the European stuff in the future. Yeah. The Scottish Open went from what was it this year? Like what did they call it?
Co-sanctioned.
It was co-sanctioned, but it was like it was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what they called it. They didn't call it a big deal.
They said, "Hey,
is it a Rolex on the European side?"
Probably, but like you have a real opportunity to. Rory's been harping on this, and I think I agree that like Liv has exploited the fact that you're not global. You know, you're very domestic, which I understand from a sponsor perspective, and like from, you know, you can get too thin going that way too. But I think to kind of pop all over the world once every 2 years or 4, whatever the number is, that could be valuable. You know, there could be some real value there, not just for quote unquote growing the game, but also for you as a business entity to gain some kind of global sponsorships, you know? So I'm interested to see how that plays out with their alliance with the European Tour, and whether they kind of try to play into those markets a little bit as well. Cause it would be not just, I mean, obviously it'd be beneficial for the European Tour, but I think it could be beneficial financially for the PGA Tour as well.
My dream scenario is a series of events like we're kind of seeing where the top players play, but the elevated events or the swings that they go on moving. So this year it's an Asian swing. Next year it's European. The year after that it's Australia. The year after that it's South America. Whatever it is, figure it out. Play 3 weeks in a row. Get sponsors all over the place, quote unquote, grow the game, right? Like that's what I want.
They could do the hipster swing, go to like Sand Valley and Bandon, and
That'd be sick.
they could do all kinds of stuff.
I thought you were going to say like Asheville, North Carolina or something. But when these like schedule changes first came out, wasn't that kind of what the PGA thought they might do? You know, this international series that they ended up, I think they scrapped it during the fall. Is that true?
They put it on the back burner at least.
Yeah. But I think that's essentially what you were talking about, Rick.
Yeah, I don't know if we ever got enough details of that, did we?
But Rick said that was like separate from all this, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe it wasn't. I don't know. That was weird. I think Rick is saying you're saying this is built into this 13 elevated events.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and build it in. I mean, so if you had 1 year where your elevated events were Zozo, CJ Cup, and somewhere else in an Asian event, the CJ Cup was in South Korea, for example, like that could be 1 year. And then the next year it's the Australian Open and the Melbourne Championship and whatever, right? Like, let's figure this out. We can do this.
Australia would be sweet, especially I think kind of Liv missed the mark on that with only one event down there next year.
Is that official?
Right.
Have they released their schedule for next year?
Who can say?
Who can say? I cannot.
I think I don't know if they've officially released it, but I think I don't know. Did they just mention that there was one Australian event, Patrick?
I saw that there was like a notepad floating around of like a potential events. Is that what we're referring to, Patrick?
Yeah, the unofficial official schedule that they released inadvertently. I mean, you can never tell with those guys.
Yeah, and then one of the spots was just said like North America. I was like, well, that narrows it down.
Yeah, they're like Mexico or Canada. What do you think?
Yeah, Mexico or Canada. That's what it was. Yeah, Mexico or Canada. I love that.
That's incredible. It does make me. I mean, listen, like I think there's real excitement over this. Is effectively the tour cutting its season in half a little bit in terms of what casual fans are going to pay attention to, in terms of what we are really, really going to cover. You know, there's going to be a I think before you kind of covered everything mostly the same other than the majors and the players. And now there's going to be like Memorial Week. It's going to be like, yo, this is massive. You know, this is a big deal. Whereas before it was like Rahm and Rory. And remember when we came out of COVID and everybody played everything? Yeah. That's what this is going to be like, spread out over the course of the season. And I think there's real excitement around that.
I like being excited about golf. So I like this. Anything else before we move on to Congaree? Okay. Speaking of a lot of players in one spot, what is it? 15 of the top 20 players in the world are at Congaree. Patrick, you're there. This is kind of a unique venue. It's a unique club, but it's also unique in the fact that we have a golf course that is an infant by golf course standards. It's only 5 years old. And we have 1 year's worth of history, but it wasn't this event. It wasn't played in October. We had the one-off 2021 Palmetto Championship. Garrick Higo would go on to win that. It was in June of 2021. So kind of, I don't know, maybe a different vibe, maybe a different feel, but a lot of big names there.
I'm really interested to see kind of how these stronger players will play Congaree, just because, like I said, the elevation changes are pretty dramatic. It's going to be much colder. It's still going to be pretty firm and fast out there, which is how it's supposed to play. The fairways are really wide, but there are chances for some of these longer hitters to cut corners, which Higo did from time to time. Dustin Johnson did as well, and really kind of separate themselves, give themselves a really big advantage going into these greens. And the greens are pure. They're like glass out there. The runoff areas. I was watching Billy Horschel and Tommy Fleetwood chip for like 10 minutes today, and they left plenty of balls at their feet, just rolling back down to them. So, but outside of that, I'm interested to see if, maybe someone like a Victor Hovland decides to putt around these greens. I know we talked about him a decent amount last week for the Zozo Championship. I think that could be an avenue through which you could get up and down somewhat effectively, just because the transition from these fringes and runoff areas to the greens, they're I mean, they're pretty sweet, pretty seamless. I'm not gonna lie. But like I said, the advantage for these longer hitters, I watched Brendan Todd and Keith Mitchell hit back to back on a hole, and Brendan Todd went about 40 yards left of Keith Mitchell just because that's his line to carry a bunker. So it might be a lot of that might be a long week as well for some of these shorter hitters.
Okay, so bomb it out there and take your chances. Kyle, there's essentially zero rough on this golf course. There's barely any first cut. Freaking first cut. You have to, if you're not in those big wide fairways, you're in sand, you're in like a marshy area, you might be stymied by trees. This is a Fazio design that's supposed to kind of resemble some of the sandbelt courses in Australia.
Yeah, I was going to say, does it remind you at all? I know you probably haven't been to all these places, Patrick, but does it remind you of all? Is it Pinehursty? Is it Trinity Foresty? Is it like those are the I know those are two very different courses, but those are kind of the PGA Tour types of places that I think of when I envision this course in my head. Is there anything there in terms of comps to those? It
honestly reminds me a ton of Quail Hollow, but without the rough. It's sand. Like if you just replace Quail Hollow with, sandy areas off the fairways, I think it's like verbatim the exact same.
Okay. So maybe more like balmy than a Pinehurst and especially like a Trinity Forest.
Yeah, I think the advantage for some of these longer guys is extremely significant.
Interesting. I love the way it looks, Rick. I remember the Chesson Hadley, Hadley Open. I guess that was last year, right before the U.S. Open. DJ was in it, I believe, for a while. Terrell Hatton, I think, was in it. I remember he played the course. It was something like he didn't make a birdie and he shot under par, which was just outrageous. I think he made, if I'm remembering this right, you can look it up. I think he made 16 pars, a bogey, and an eagle, and played the round under par. It was something like that. So yeah, I think it's a unique course. I don't know if it's a great course, but I think seeing some of the best players, Rahm, Spieth, Rory, play a unique course is going to be interesting. I'm probably the most intrigued I've been by any tournament this fall, this weekend, just because you got some great players at a different course. Yeah,
this is the event of the fall, right? I mean, we're going to go to Mayakoba. There's going to be Houston, but with the strength of field, like this is the best event of the fall, I imagine.
Has to be.
Is that that's fair?
Yeah.
What round do you think Terrell Hatton did that in? Oh, I see it.
Third?
I see it. Yeah.
Second?
Okay. So this is so good.
First, fourth?
He is so sick. Okay. So here's the round. A 4 under 68 with 0 birdies.
Okay. There you go.
So he made 14 pars, a double on a par 5, and 3 eagles.
Oh, 3 eagles.
Oh my God. What a madman.
How crazy is that? He made no bogeys and no birdies and shot 68.
2 of the eagles were back-to-back, 15 and 16. So he hit it into a native area on 15 and hold it from 20 yards away. And then on 16, he hit it in the middle of the fairway and hold out from 107. 4 shots and 2 par 4s.
Absurd.
Love to see it. Okay. Let's continue this conversation, but in terms of cash money. We will give out some bets, but first we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners. And we're back. Troy, could you grace us with the standings for our first cut money make? Oh, thank you very much.
This sucks.
For whom?
Me.
Okay.
And Patrick, but mostly me.
I have been ice cold.
In Kyle's defense, I believe this is only 1 full week and a best bet at the President's Cup.
Yeah, this is my 3rd time to participate here.
Patrick, I cannot say the same for you.
It's 10 in a row, 10 losing bets in a row for Patty.
Patty Ice, really?
Yeah, Ice Patty, I think is the
real Patty Ice.
All right. Well, here we go. This is how we do this. So we take our 100 nuggets over to Caesar Sportsbook. We put 50 of them on any matchup that we want, 30 of them on any finishing position that we want, 10 on one outright, 10 on another. And Patrick, we're just going to go right to you here because I've filed for a restraining order. You have something against Tom Kim that I'm a little bit worried about. 3 straight weeks, you have opted to fade him in your matchup.
I said last week that I would die on this hill. So we're gonna go back to it until I think statistically I am due for a win in this one, and yes. I think this is the
statistics work.
Yeah,
I'll ask John Rahm. I'll ask John Rahm about
it's like five reds in a row on roulette. That black is due, baby.
I'm due, and I don't think you could pick a better course for Cameron Young, given the advantage he'll have off the tee. I think it's just an ideal fit for him. And the opposite could be said of Tom Kim, just because his weakness, if he has one, is kind of the lack of pop off the tee. So you're giving me plus money on Cameron Young over Tom Kim. I will take it, and I will pray to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ that finally this fate of Tom Kim comes through.
This looks like 11 in a row for you, Patrick. coming up here. Cam Young plus 105 over Tom Kim. KP, you also found yourself a plus 105 matchup. Who is it, please?
Yeah, I got Russell Henley over Mito Pereira. Henley's been hitting it great. Mito's been hitting it pretty well too, but Mito's been kind of up and down. He'll his last 5 or so events, a couple outside the top 50, some missed cuts, also some top 10 finishes, but I don't know. It's so easy when you're looking at these numbers to fall in love with guys like Keegan and Russell Henley, who just hit it so good week after week after week. The putting has been obviously, per the usual, not very good with Russell Henley, but I do really like him this week.
Henley over Mito Pereira, and I'll go make it a clean sweep with plus 105 numbers. Mine's Matt Fitzpatrick over Scotty Scheffler. I just think you get well-rounded. Matty Fitzpatty finished T10 at this golf course when it was the Palmetto Championship. He's playing much better now. Scotty Scheffler, he's fine. He could not be the number 1 player in the world after this week. You guys aware of that?
Rory
Mcilroy. What's the scenario? How does that happen?
Rory wins or finishes second.
Scotty has to play bad, I believe, as well.
Okay.
Like it has to be a pretty poor finish.
Last 20 rounds leading into this, second best ball striker in the field, Scotty Scheffler. Number 1 is Corey Connors, who I wouldn't touch with like a 30-foot pole. But Scheffler's he wasn't great at the President's Cup, but other than that, he's still been solid.
Yeah, he hasn't putted as well, but I mean, he was not going to continue. Yeah. He was not going to continue 4 wins in 7 events. Putting wise.
Yeah, I think his two events that he gained strokes over the summer were the Schwab and the US Open. And he lost a playoff and came in second. Yeah.
So if he gains strokes putting, it's over. It's a wrap. He will add to his number 1 ranking.
Also, also the BMW, and he finished T3.
Okay.
So just putt well. That's all it is. Finishing position. Anything we want, though. We found 3. What are we? Did we do this? 3 top 20s. All of them are plus 170. That was not by design. That is a coincidence. KP, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm riding Tom Hoagie. I was on him pretty hard last week at the Zozo. He's hitting it so good right now. He's been, I don't have his numbers in front of me. His last 3 finishes, T9, T4, T12. Before that, it was 10th at the Tour Championship. So 4 straight top 12s, hitting it great. I'm not scared of the better field. Tour Championship was a great field, albeit a smaller field, but I like him at the plus 170.
Plus 170 for Tom Hoagie to finish inside the top 20, and plus 170 for Keith Mitchell, Patrick, to finish inside the top 20.
Yeah, there's a theme here. Long off the tee, one of the best off the tee players on the PGA Tour, and I like that he knocked the rust off in Vegas. He was there heading into the weekend, kind of faded. T60 there, and Mitchell's a sneaky Tom Fazio specialist. 4 top 10s in 7 starts on these courses. Was right there at the Summit Club last year. Has played Quail Hollow well throughout his career as well. So plus 170, top 20 in a field of 78 players. I like for Keith Mitchell.
I got a DM about Keith Mitchell, though. I'm not sure how much I can divulge here.
Also sneaky, I think one of the best dressed players on the PGA Tour.
For sure. Do you? I was looking at Keith Mitchell, and there was some reason that I didn't. His numbers are good. Why didn't I take him?
Iron play, probably.
I don't like the visor.
Well, he hasn't. Are you worried that he hasn't finished inside the top 25 since the Travelers?
Kyle, there's a theme to my pick, and I think he is statistically due to finish inside the top 20 here.
In that case, yes.
Honestly, no. I mean, he didn't putt any of those events closing down the summer anyway, and I like him in this part of the country back on Bermuda. So
Keith
hopefully it gets going.
Keith Mitchell played Congaree 3 weeks ago and shot a 63.
Okay.
Does that sway you, or like tour pros just shoot 63s anywhere they go in practice rounds?
Yeah, that didn't do a lot for me. I'm more on the fact that he's been really well, this is always true, but he's been really good off the tee recently. And if that has as much influence on this event as Patrick thinks it will, then I could be talked into a top 20.
My top 20 is Emiliano Grillo because he is a whole new player. He's
been kind of feeling himself.
He should.
He's been money.
Think about all the times he went home and put his head on a pillow and said, God, if I just putted well today, I would have won this thing. And now he's finally doing it. I'd be sniffing myself too.
Sniffing yourself? I don't. Is that a phrase?
I've never heard that one before.
I'm sniffing myself. I don't stink. Like I'm the guy.
Okay, I've never heard that. His last 4 finishes, he was 4th at the Zozo, T73, T5 at Sanderson, T25 at Fortnite, and then the 6 before that, he had 2 top 2 finishes, John Deere and 3M. Those are lesser tournaments, but man, just a lot of. Also, he hasn't lost strokes putting since the Travelers.
Yes, correct. 8 in a row. We don't have the Zozo numbers, but 8 in a row.
Wow, that's stunning.
Thank you.
I guess that's why he's been on leaderboards.
Yeah. Outrights, we get 2 of them. Mine, Spieth and Hatton. Just go back to the well with Hatton. Played well here last time. His results worldwide in the last 5 are probably better than they appear. And then Spieth, wide fairways, creativity, coming off a 5-0-0 President's Cup. He won 12 starts ago. He's been great. Like, yeah, let's go. Spieth wins this, I think. Pretty confident about that.
I'm with you with the Spieth take as well. And I feel like his added distance hasn't really getting enough attention because he is long now. And that win 12 weeks ago or 12 starts ago, whatever you just said, in the state of South Carolina as well. So I like the Spieth. I'm on him at 28-1 as well. And then I know creativity and short game is going to be needed, but I think Victor Hovland could get around this place kind of in the same manner that he did at St. Andrews, where he was able to almost hide his short game woes. And the short game hasn't even been that bad lately. He's gained in 4 out of his last 6 starts, and he's a really underrated putter, especially as of late. And great driver, great ball striker. So I felt inclined to bet him at 22-1 as well.
He got off to a slow start on Sunday at the Zozo, and I still thought there was a moment where if he just rattled off like 2 birdies late, that the rest of the field could have came back to him, because that final group was not trying to win that golf tournament.
Yeah. Rick, what football game were you at when you were watching the Zozo?
UNLV versus Air Force.
Oh,
you want to know what the final score was? 42-7 Air Force.
Wow.
Yeah. I think they had 1 passing attempt. They just run the triple option. And let me tell you, the running Rebs, not ready for it.
Who's the golf version of the Air Force?
What are the comps?
Like somebody who's like really short off the tee and just like, might be Tom Kim.
Maybe the old version of Matt Fitzpatrick.
Peak Webb Simpson.
Denny McCarthy.
Remember
Webb
when
Simpson,
Brendan Todd went back to back?
Webb Simpson was like, it's still kind of startling if you can filter even over like the last 5 years, 4 years, and he's one of the like 7 best players in the world, and nobody would think that.
It was a quick fall from grace. I think it was injury related, and then just I don't know, hasn't been able to find it since then.
Yeah, I mean, those guys. DJ's been impressive because he's almost 40, and he's a couple years away from being 40, and he's mostly kept it up. But I don't know. It's not. I think Tiger and Phil have kind of normalized being great into your 40s. And it's hard, you know. Adam Scott's struggled a little bit with it. It's a difficult thing to do, and Webb is getting closer to that. So, outrights, I've got Scheffler and Sungjae. Sungjae's been awesome. I was surprised to see him. I thought he'd be more like 15, 16 to 1. I think he should be more in that maybe Cantlay-ish range. And then I think Scheffler's a little undervalued at 12. I thought he would be 9 or 10. I think Rory at what is he, 13 to 2 plus 650 is, I mean, he's been great. That's a little short for me. I think Rory being the favorite provides a little cover for Scheffler being a little bit too long.
Yeah, there's just this deep a field, tough to pull a trigger on a plus 650, no matter how good they are. Anything else here? No. Here's what we'll do. We've got our money balls to get to. That's our best bet. We take $50. We put it on literally anything that we want. We are going to do that on the other side. And we're back. Moneyball. Do we have the standings for this? Thank you very much. Oh, there they are.
Great.
So things are going splendid for 25% of us. Patrick, you have opted to take your $50 in which you can put it on anything that you want in the whole world. And you chose a 16 to 1 wager. What is it, please?
I did. And many might suggest that I'm chasing, but I'm not. I'm not. I promise
who might
you.
suggest that? Your conscience?
The losers and haters, of which there are many of. But 16 to 1. I know we just said his name. 6.5 to 1 might be a little too short, but 16 to 1 to lead after the first day, first round leader, Rory Mcilroy, best player in the world at the moment. He dominates Tom Fazio Designs, 3-time winner at Quail, defending champion at the Summit Club, and he led round 1 scoring last year, averaged 68. And I think it's just all aligning. He's playing so damn good right now that I wanted, some exposure on Rory, and I thought this market was a good way to get that.
KP, you have gone back to Mr. Hoagie.
Yeah, I just keep riding that train. I actually took a look at the Rory first round leader thing. I hadn't looked at your pick, Patrick, but I thought both him and Rahm were interesting as the first round leader, but ultimately, I went Tom Hoagie top 20. Laid out my reasons earlier. He hasn't finished outside the top 20 in several events. He's hitting it great. Not scared of the good field. I think his iron play has been amongst the best in the field, and he just is undervalued because his name's Tom Hoagie, and that's what I'm trying to take advantage of.
In what world does Tom Hoagie not have a Wawa sponsorship?
Is Wawa a sandwich shop?
Oh, KP.
Scenes now. I just take the whole thing back. Maybe this is why he doesn't have one.
What am I missing here?
I mean, I guess technically it's like a gas station convenience store, but yes, it's like a made to order. I don't know, like Sheets. Do you have a Sheets?
No, I don't know what Sheets is.
Oh boy, Patrick. Anything?
Is there a place? Go ahead.
We have Jersey Mike's.
Okay.
Okay. Imagine if Jersey Mike's was inside a gas station.
We have Buc-ee's.
Okay.
Okay. I think that's probably the most similar.
Okay.
Wawa's like KP. Wawa's. If you tell someone from Philly you don't know what Wawa is, they might.
You're lucky
right now.
You're lucky Philly fans are in a good mood right now, Kyle. We would have shanked you for
sure.
Not
you
knowing what Wawa
got Bryce Harper, you got Joel Embiid, you got the Jalen Hurts, who I didn't think would ever play in the NFL, was 6-0. It's just, you can't be mad at me for not knowing what Wawa is.
I can't be mad at anything right now. So no, you You get a pass this time around. Yeah, it's okay, or maybe like a Subway sponsorship, or maybe like a I don't know.
Subway's marketing budget has to be just insane. Have you seen who they've gotten on their commercials?
They get like I don't know if
They got Russell Wilson,
JJ Watt. Was he doing Subway stuff? Steph
Charles
Curry,
Barkley, Romo.
You know what I think it is?
What?
I think they can say, hey, listen, we'll just give you $1 million or whatever it is, and we need you for like 2 hours. And they stand them in front of a green screen, hold it, and they say, I love Subway. Like, I think it's a really light day of work.
Simone Biles.
Yeah.
I haven't eaten Subway in a long, long time. Is it
Simone Biles?
I think about Subway every day, and I haven't been there in a decade.
You think about Subway every day?
Why?
Because I like hoagies, and I mean they're everywhere. I see them constantly, but I haven't gone in.
Have you been to a Jersey Mike's?
Yeah, I like Jersey Mike's.
Do you think they're underrated, overrated, properly rated?
They're definitely way better than Subway is. I think they're properly rated. I think as far as chain sandwich shops go, they're on the upper end.
Okay. I think that's probably right.
I'd agree with that. What about Firehouse Subs?
I think it's overrated.
It's
not that good.
Yeah, that style is not for me. What do they do? Steam it or whatever?
They steam it?
That's their whole thing, right?
Oh, I don't know.
I just remember like the cherry limeade, they try to push on you like aggressively. They're like, we have the best cherry limeade. It's like, I'm just trying to get a water, man.
Yeah, you're like, I'm good, bro. What else is on the upper end of hoagie land, hoagie world? Oh, Potbelly.
Okay, that's exactly what I was going to say,
good.
but I didn't know how big they were.
Yeah, they're good.
I see them in airports, so I assume they're fairly sizable.
Properly rated.
Good milkshakes too, with the cookies on the straw.
Yeah.
Firehouse Subs incorporates a sandwich steamer with a drawer taking the place of a clamshell top, and that's how they do their meat.
That sounds like just sounds like marketing. It's like Greek yogurt. People are like, "Oh, I had some Greek yogurt today." You're like, "Can you tell me the difference between regular yogurt and Greek yogurt?" You can't, because you don't know. Like, you have no clue.
Straight from Santorini.
Yeah, exactly. It's outrageous. It's an outrageous marketing ploy by Big Yogurt to get us to buy more dairy.
That's even like chicken when they say that it's like organic or whatever, or like farm raised, and they have like a 1 by 1 foot of space for the chicken to roam in. and it's like, oh, they're free roaming.
They're free to roam this square foot.
Yeah,
do this with all kinds of stuff because it sounds like Greek yogurt sounds cooler and healthier than regular yogurt.
I legit thought it was, yeah,
man. And
tell me the difference between regular yogurt and Greek yogurt.
I don't know. I don't know.
Nobody does.
The probiotics. I don't know.
Who can say? I mean, you're not alone. I have no idea, but people talk about it all the time.
Top Canadian, Adam Hadwin. That's mine. I didn't have a good segue back.
That's my favorite moment in first bet history. That's so good.
Oh boy. Can you name the other Canadians in the field? Adam Hadwin plus 125.
I keep thinking Taylor Montgomery is Canadian. Why do I think that?
You're confused. He's from Las Vegas.
They hit me with a Taylor Montgomery, Aaron Wise matchup, which just pissed me off because I wanted to take both of them, and it's tough.
It is tough.
Is Mackenzie Hughes?
Nope.
Corey Connors.
That's one.
Oh, well, I'm looking at the comments. Taylor Pendrith.
The comments are wrong.
It's Tyler Pendrith, actually, per the comments.
No, it's only Corey Connors. There's only 2 Canadians in the field.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is basically a Adam Hadwin versus Corey Connors matchup. Adam Hadwin plus 1. You said earlier, Kyle, you wouldn't touch Corey Connors with a 30-foot pole, and I agree.
I don't know what I'm getting.
He's been horrible.
Bad putting for sure. Lock that in.
Yeah, that's true.
Anything else, gentlemen? Concludes the Moneyball portion of the show. It concludes the sandwich portion of the show. Anything else before we put a bow on it?
We might have screwed up with Big Food sponsoring any other future episodes for this podcast, but I'm not going to apologize.
I just recorded an ad, so I can assure you the money's still coming in from Big Food momentarily.
Also, that's why they want you in Ponte Vedra, you know.
We haven't besmirched Chipotle. Rick and I are on the Chipotle corner. So if they want to sponsor us, then please be our guest.
Yes.
Chipotle wise, you add salad dressing?
What?
The vinaigrette that they have to your Chipotle order.
I didn't even know that was an option.
All right. Next time, just get it comes on the side, little container. Just ask for it. It's free.
I think I've seen that. I'd rather do that than queso.
Do you put it on your burrito?
I'm a bowl type of guy, and yeah, I'll drizzle it on. Just try it and get back to me.
We should have a food only pod someday, and then talk a little golf at the end.
It'd probably get better reviews.
Real quick, I do want to say this. I floated this on Twitter today. It might be a stupid idea, but we didn't get to talk live on Sunday, and I think maybe there's been a lot of like live major OWGR just stuff, and I think maybe the major should extend an invite to the top 5 live players, and I don't think they should. What I mean by that is like, the top 5 on the live money list get into the majors. And if that's guys that are already qualified, sorry, like, so be it. If that's guys like Cam Smith and DJ that are already in, then those are just the guys that are in. And I don't block everybody else. I don't say Phil can't play the Masters because he's not in the top 5 on live. He's a Masters champion, so he gets in, but it gives them a pathway into the majors, and maybe forges some compromise where there hasn't been any over the last 7 months.
I think I saw you float this, and I'm completely fine with this, right? I think I'm at the point where it's very clear that they're the second best tour in the world, and that the majors should have the best players in it. And the whole system's made up. Everything is made up, right? The PGA Tour's qualification is completely made up. Everything's completely made up. The majors, this argument about the OWGR could just be fixed if the majors just said, yeah, okay, we'll like, that's fine. Top 5 guys get in.
I saw someone else. I think when we did a big live recap, we talked about this very shortly, but yeah, I'd be about that as well. But I saw someone float the OWGR should just be axed, and I'm starting to come around on it.
Yeah, that's fine. Axe it. I don't care. I mean, it's I think the frustrating part is that it's actually, somebody said this maybe on No Line Up. It's actually a pretty good system, and it's a cool way to sort of determine the best players across a bunch of different tours in the world, which is unique to golf. And like, one organization is going to disrupt that because they're whiny and annoying, but like, I don't really care that much about the OWGR. I mean, don't take my Data Golf and Rick Run Good rankings, but take the OWGR and implement different paths to. I mean, who is it? The PGA Championship doesn't even use OWGR for its fields.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's money list.
Yeah, fine. Include the top 5 on live, include the top 10 on European, and let's get on with it.
One thing that we didn't end up talking about because they were in a playoff and we didn't know how long it was going to last, so we wrapped up. One of the things that we talked about when Brooks Koepka first went to live is that the knee might be a lot worse than he had kind of been leading on, which would make a lot more sense for why he goes. You get a guaranteed payout. If you need surgery, maybe you do it on live's dime as opposed to like a completely merit-based system. And then he made some comments afterwards that made me think that was more the case, is that he really did not know the future of his body, and he cashed it out.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But he just always says conflicting things. He says, "Oh, well, I need a knee replacement in 2 years," or whatever I don't think he put a number on it, but I need a knee replacement soon. Also, this is the best I've felt in like forever. And you're like, well, I don't know, man. Like, where do I enter into like have like what is reality? I just
you're right.
I don't know. He's always contradicting himself.
Unreliable narrator. Anything else? Okay. That'll
Coach
do it.
Boy.
You got that right. Mega Preview Pod has concluded. We'll be back on Sunday to recap the CJ Cup with hopefully a really great winner and compelling story and great golf course and everything in between. But for now, big thanks to producer Troy, does all the hard work behind the scenes. That is Patrick McDonald, who, hey, maybe you'll see out there at Congaree this week. What if someone comes up to you and asks for a photo, would you take it, or would you Pete Rose charge them for a photo and an autograph?
Yeah, I think it's 15 for a photo, 25 for both.
I don't think you can be an amateur status anymore if you charge for photos.
And I'll change my name to professional status.
Kyle Porter, CBS on Twitter for KP. You can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. Catch you next time.